Do you guys have TikTok personally?
Yes.
Do you use it a lot? Do you ever make your own?
I'm a lurker. I never make one, but
I have made them.
I consume a lot of content, but I don't produce a lot
The
of
last
content.
time I made a TikTok, a 13-year-old wrote something mean on my video, and I haven't done it since.
That's why we have money donuts, right? Because we're all just about positivity, putting it back in the world in the form of a money donut.
Yeah, Steve, when life rains on you, play in the puddles.
I gave Cooper, before you got here, an inspirational card that was given to me, and I feel like she needed it more than I did today.
Because I'm not very inspirational.
So this is probably a great podcast to bring this up. I just got a text from a friend of mine who, Cooper, loves your Midwestern accent. Feels like he's like, I love to listen to Money Donuts and get that sweet Midwestern accent. And I was like,
From specifically me or everybody?
well, I was like,
Because I get made fun of for mine quite a bit.
I thought he was coming after me, and I was like, this is great. I'll bring it up on the podcast. And he was like, Cooper. That's all he texted me was Cooper. And I was like, oh boy.
my
Just
God.
that.
When I interned with the Express, so a lot of our interns come from different states. So we had a couple guys from Texas that interned with us, and they used to make fun of me all the time. And Colin, he was from Florida, and I'm like, guys, I don't talk weird. It's fine. They're like, yeah, you do. I'm like, no, I don't.
But why is that relevant to this specific podcast, Steve?
Well, it ties into our guest. Do you want to introduce yourself? Yeah.
So my name's Ethan Van Grunsven, a sophomore here at UWEC. And about 8-9 months ago, I started a small little clothing brand called Sconny CO. So when I first started it, people always ask, like, how'd you think of it and whatnot? What I'd always say is, man, growing up, there's no way to, like, wear just Wisconsin-based apparel and look cool and go out. Why not come up with some cool ideas and design some stuff and slap it on some apparel? So that's kind of what I did. So when I first started it, I didn't think of it would go anywhere. I didn't expect it to be anything. I just kind of did it to do it and learn from it. I honestly expected to fail too. I remember sitting in my living room talking to my mom. I was like, Mom, I don't know if this is going to work, honestly. And I don't care if I fail or not, but I don't want to make a fool out of myself either, too. And she was like, Ethan, just do it. The worst thing that's going to happen is it's not going to work out and you're going to learn from it. So I ended up doing it. And a lot of people told me, like, not to do it, or, like, I'd mention it to them. They'd be like, oh, yeah. Like, they don't want to be mean to your face. But, yeah, so, I mean, if my mom probably wouldn't have said that to me, I probably wouldn't have did it. And it's just cool to see where we're at so far.
That's good parenting right there.
It's
just
secret to successful business is have your mom engaged and invested in you. Like,
I've always wanted to do business. In high school, I was the president of our business club. You know, last year as a freshman, I started a little side hustle with one of my roommates. We just cleaned people's shoes. Our margins on it were really good too, so that's kind of why we did it. But that didn't go anywhere, and I didn't want it to go anywhere. I didn't want to.
you want to be a shoe shiner?
Did you always had the passion?
I love Wisconsin.
No, to do startups, to do business.
Yes. Oh yeah.
What do you think? Where does that drive come from, or what does that feel like?
The challenge, honestly. One thing that I'm really passionate about is if someone tells me I can't do something, I really just want to be like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And it started in sports, honestly. The amount of information and life lessons I've learned from sports is carried so much over into the classroom and into business as well, in terms of just teamwork and collaboration and set times on when you need to work on stuff and whatnot too. My dad was my basketball coach too. He's my idol. I always look up to my dad, and he was always so hard on me growing up. He pushed me really hard. So I learned a lot of lessons through my parents and my family as well. But when I first thought of how do I want to grow this? How do I want to get people to find out about it? Obviously, I'm not older. I'm not 40. You know, I'm 20, and
Steve's crying right now.
That one hurt. That one hurt, Ethan.
What people my age, they look up to influential people, and what they see is they're like, hey, like, think of like Johnny Davis, you know, the guy who wore this to the March Madness tournament. Think about Johnny Davis, like, man, I want to be in that guy's shoes. Well, if people see that guy and be like, hey, I want to be like him, and he's wearing some of our apparel, like, man, that's the best marketing out there, you know? And just in terms of strategy as well, too, just getting it in people's hands, man. Like, people, like, followers on social media, it sounds tacky, but and it truly doesn't matter in the long. It really doesn't. But in terms of like marketing and growing something, that's what I kind of slowly realized is that it's not always as much about the followers, but as much as their followers engage with their content as well too. And that's something that I learned through a mentor of mine too. That's probably the correct word I'd refer, mentor. Kind of some advice he gave me on too, and that I've learned through experiences too.
How did you, let's go back to the beginning. How did you go about starting the business? Did you tell me in the early days of Sconny, what did you do?
The first thing that I wanted to do was make sure that I was doing it the right way. I went to the RCU off Gulf Road, and I set up a business banking account. That was the first thing I did. And then I went to the Wisconsin Department of Revenue website, and I got my seller's permit on there. Not too long ago, I went and got my LLC. I was a sole proprietorship for a little bit, but then I just decided to protect myself and the company too. It just made sense.
How did you go out about finding that information?
The internet.
Yeah. You just did your research.
Yeah. Just sit on my laptop and just look stuff up at night. Yeah. You know, I'm a very social person. I like to go out and talk. That's kind of how that was my first marketing plan of trying to grow Sconny. What I'd do is I'd go to like social events and whatnot. And by social events, I mean like just like parties and just place where other kids my age would be hanging out, you know, like sports games too. And I just go talk to them. I just throw my t-shirt on and just be like, hey, what do you think of this? You know, just try to make a connection. I wouldn't be as direct like that. There's an art to it and just talking to people and just trying to get them to talk back and be interested in what you have to say. But that's kind of what I did first, and it took off. At first, people were like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll buy that. And I could tell they're just buying it because they know me and they're my friend. And when I first realized, yeah, it was great. I'm sure you know. Like, oh, yeah, sure, Ethan. Yeah, I'll buy that. Yeah, okay, man. And I'd always say, don't buy it because of me. Buy it because you want to wear it. Like, at first, I thought it was going to fail, but I wanted people to genuinely enjoy it. Like, I didn't want someone to just...
Like, don't buy it and put it in the closet.
Exactly.
Buy it to wear it.
I'm the opposite. I want everybody just to give me money because they feel bad for me, but I'm glad you're a little more...
Steve, do you want to share your Venmo? Do you have a Venmo?
Just pull up the QR
Yes.
code.
Oh,
I'll
wow.
get you real quick. And then how I went from there is people actually that I didn't know genuinely like wore it around. There's this one day in particular too. One of my really good friends who ended up coming on and helping me sell some merch a little bit. A lot of his friends came up from college just to visit, and all of them bought all 3 colored T-shirts. There's like 5, 6 of them. I was like, holy cow. And they're like some Wisconsinites. So like when you think of like Wisconsin, you think of these boys, you know. It took off from there, honestly. And then I ended up going down to Oktoberfest in La Crosse.
So fun.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Repping lacrosse over here. That's right.
Really?
That's
UNCWL?
Yep.
Come on. My best friend goes there right now, so I don't blame you. La Crosse is a
My
good
best
time.
friend went there too.
It's with Oktoberfest and whatnot. I went down there, you know, I threw like a box of shirts in my car, headed down, had a good time. But I was just walking up to people, talking to people, be like, hey, like, how you doing? How's your Oktoberfest going? Obviously, a lot more, not as like bland and boring. like. And then I was walking down the street, and it was me and my best friend Cal and a couple other my boys, and there's a guy walking the other way. I'm like, hey. Like, I was like, yo, like, who is that guy? Why is he wearing Sconny CO? And Cal's like, I don't know. Let's just go say what's up. So we walked over to him like, hey, like, what's up, dude? How's it going? And I'm like, where'd you get that T-shirt? Because I didn't sell it to him. And he's like, I got it from my friend in Eau Claire. He brought it down to me. It's one of his friends' small little business that he's starting. I think it's awesome. I love it, man. You got to get one. And I didn't tell him. I didn't tell him it was mine and that I designed it and created it. I was just like, oh, definitely I'm going to get one. But yeah.
Tell all your friends, right? Like, yeah, nice.
It was awesome. He was like trying to sell it to me, and I was like, let's go. That's what I need, more people like that in this business. That was kind of like the first true real moment, because it was only like 2 months in, and I didn't have a website. My Instagram was terrible. It was brutal.
Was Sconny the first choice, or did you have other names for the business that weren't available?
It was always Sconny. It was always Sconny. I always wanted to be a Sconny company. My goal and plan for down the line is to make it bigger than like just apparel. Like I don't even know what I want to produce, but I want to do something. Like I want to make I just want to do a bunch of stuff based off Wisconsin. I feel like Wisconsinites are very unique compared to the rest of the country. My hope and what I want to work for in the future is to just see people walking around wearing Sconny CO.
How about business plan? Did you have a business plan? Did you put one together?
Yeah. So as far as the business plan goes, one day I went to our library at Eau Claire, the McIntyre Library, and I sat down on the computer and I spent 5 hours researching a business plan. And what I did is there was a great article written by, I can't remember the name.
James Plendle.
No.
Steve Dayton. Anyways,
Yeah.
there's a great article. It was so detailed, so informational. It was like 50 pages. And what I did is I read it all. I read it all again, and then I brought out my laptop, put it right next to the desktop, and just wrote not everything, but like the main points about how I would want to go about writing my own business plan. And what I learned through that was like business plan is hard to write, and there's a lot to it. So in terms of like a business plan, I mean, I could dive super deep into it. It's just kind of boring. It's super basic too. And
was there any surprising things about your business plan where you're like, I did not think about that, and I really need to think about that?
financing and accounting. I had no clue how important accounting was. I'm in an accounting class this semester here at Eau Claire, and the first thing that the professor said to us was accounting is the language of business. And when he said that right away, I was like, oh,
This is not good.
I'm
Not
behind
good.
the ball. So yeah, I've just that's the one thing that I learned is accurately keeping track of numbers, and just putting together like income statements, balance sheets, and just cash flow statements too and whatnot. I struggle very hard at that. I'm working hard, just trying to learn it. Because I feel like I have to learn that. I have to learn it like the back of my hand.
Yeah, as a startup, what do you sacrifice in your life to make the business work?
So what I really sacrifice a lot is time spent with friends. I still go out, but usually when I go out, I go out talk to people. I go out try to market.
Like your social life has become your business.
Exactly,
life,
exactly.
almost.
And it's a blessing and a curse.
Sure.
I really like design. I like fashion. I like apparel. It's just really cool. It's fun to do. One thing too that I gotta learn how to do is Adobe. My mom is really good at Adobe. She's an art teacher. She teaches up in New Auburn. She actually when we were first starting off, me and her sat down together in our living room, and she was just using Adobe and just trying to design some stuff. Here, I'll show you guys this picture. This is what Sconny was first gonna be before it became the state.
Like an early concept.
Yeah, it's so ugly.
And this is a design your mom made.
Yeah.
And you said it was ugly, just to be clear.
Yeah, it's like it's just like a badger.
I mean, it's the right track.
What I'm big on too is just trying to do a lot of things myself and just figure things out on your own. So what I've been doing a decent amount, not as much as I should be, is learning how to file your own trademark. And all the office actions that come back with it, because I'm gonna send something in. I'm gonna send it in, and they're gonna come back and they're gonna say something. There's like 31 different office actions that they're gonna come back and say about you have to do this, change this. So what I was just advised to do, the Sconny company, Sconny CO, Sconny, just go by Sconny CO, and which makes sense to me. You know, honestly, I kind of like it. Rolls off the tongue a lot better too. Sconny CO.
Sconny CO. Yeah.
Sconny CO, Sconny company. But that's what I'm in the process too right now, trying to get a trademark. I know it's just going to take
Cool.
like a year. I want to do it the right way too, but there's also, I enjoy it. There's beauty in the process too of trying to figure it out and just teach it yourself. Obviously, I mean, I'm going to mess up something in that request. Like there's going to be something, but yeah, I mean.
Has there been shortcuts that you've taken where you're like, oh, I should put the time in and learn this, and then you're like, no, I'm just going to throw some money at this?
I'm just adjusting. Why are you looking at me like
I don't
that?
because you're out of, like, it's my peripheral, so I'm just like, are you going to attack me? I don't know.
Take your glasses off.
No, now I can't see anything. Oh gosh.
In terms of like shortcuts, I've had help along the way. When I first started it, there's some friends of mine who just loved the idea right off the bat, and they're like, "Yeah, Eth, go do it." There's also a lot of people like, "Eth, don't do it." And so those people that really supported me and have helped the business grow, those I wouldn't call it a shortcut, but that's help that stuff that I didn't have to do. That I kind of like took the easy way out. Like, oh, hey, yeah, you guys just go down to lacrosse this weekend, have a good time. Here's $50. Go make 15, 20 sales and come back and let me know how it goes.
Yeah,
so
nice.
just kind of stuff like that too.
There we go. Was it hard to fire your mom as a designer?
She understood. she got the gist of it.
First, she supports you, and then she works for free, and then you fire her. I love it.
The worst part about it too is she was like a graphic designer for like 10 years.
How did you end up at Royal Credit Union?
Personal banking. My family's banking is through here. Obviously, I think.
And you were so aware of our high school branch at Memorial High School.
Yeah.
Oh, he did have a story that I'm just dropping all the balls. Ethan had a story about growing up in Eau Claire.
Yeah. So, okay. So,
I assumed so. I meant like
I was so confused on what you
I didn't know where to go from it. All right,
I'll tell the story.
All right.
I'll tell the story. So when we're coming up the elevator here, and I it was just awkward science with me and Steve.
Come on,
no,
man.
And I was like, hey, this is really. I've never been in like up here. I was on the basic floor level, and I was like, the only other time I've been in here was in elementary school. We came here, RCU. I went to Meadowview Elementary School.
you were a worker?
Oh, would he have been a worker?
Yeah, he would have been part of the school sense.
Yeah.
These are important things we need to know.
This is why I brought it up. I just couldn't get it out.
You wore a tie-dye shirt. It was pretty cool.
I think it was third grade.
I think we could probably try to find a photo of Ethan when he came.
Oh,
Throwback third grade.
easily.
And then
Yeah.
at this point right in the video, I'll put it up. If I found it. If you see nothing, I've just failed at finding it.
You put money in a bank, right, to keep it safe. You don't see it.
in a financial institution, a savings account.
Yeah. So how does the bank choose how to invest that money?
Oh, where's John when we need him?
Yeah, that's a great question. Some of it goes back out the door in the form of loans to other members, like car loan, mortgage loan, things like that. They do put some money into what's called reserves. It's like a rainy day fund. If you have a bad week or a bad month or a bad year, Royal just has a separate investment fund to, protect the security and stability of the financial institution as a whole. So some of it goes there too, but I think the majority of it is lent back out to members.
What is the best advice you have for other startups?
The best advice that I could give to a person who has an idea that they truly believe in, that they truly want to see happen, is don't be afraid to fail. Like my mom said, at the end of the day, who cares what other people think about you, and who cares what others think? If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. My big thing is you got one life to live. Yeah, I got one life here. I could get hit by a car walking on this building after this
God,
meeting.
let's hope not.
I hope-
Probably a
I hope-
liability.
I hope not either, man. I got a fun weekend planned ahead of me. I hope not. But you really got to enjoy the journey. And the last thing you'd want to do is work a life and become a professional at something that you don't enjoy doing. So for like me, I always want to work for myself. I always told myself growing up as a kid, like I want to work for myself. That's kind of what made me an entrepreneur and led me towards entrepreneurship, was just having that dream and that ambition to want to work for myself. So if there's any advice that I could give to another person out there, from one young kid to whoever it may be, whether you're 50, 60, or 15, just do it, because tomorrow is not given. And why would you not want to do what you enjoy doing?
When you're running a business, sometimes financially it's you're throwing everything in there. So how do you make it work with your own finances? How do you live your life when you're putting everything into the business?
So this is where you guys may be surprised. I actually haven't put a dollar of my own money into this. So what I did is I outsourced all investors, and they're not family either, like friends and people that I knew. So what I did is I pitched them the idea and how I was going to plan on growing it and how I wanted it to work. And I just literally just laid it out, business plan. And they bought it and they took it. And it first started off it took $1,500 to start it off with the t-shirts. That's all it took. And just continually to flip that, pay them back, flip it, pay the other guy back, just continually to flip it. So in terms of like percentages and whatnot, I got, they were friends of mine and they believed in me and they believed it. But most importantly, they believed in the idea too. What I did is I didn't give them percentage of the company. Obviously, I gave them percentage of each drop. So there's a t-shirt drop, there's the hoodie drop, there's a crew neck drop, And then there's like, now I'm starting to do, because see, those were just drops based off the specific type of apparel. Now I want to do like seasonal drops too and whatnot. But I gave them percentage of the drop, and I'd be like, hey, cash out whenever you want, man. Literally whenever you want, cash out. But here's the percentage that you're going to get per drop. And they're all cool with it. They're like, yeah, awesome. Yeah, we'll take that. And that's just kind of how I went about funding it too.
Was that a business plan that you saw from somebody else, or how did you come up with that idea of how to run it?
I was in a car ride. We were coming home from a Badger football game, and you know, I've always knew I want to do something in fashion and just in business and be an entrepreneur as well. And I was like to one of my friends, I was like, yo, let's start this. This was last year, like October, November. I was like, hey, let's start this brand. Let's come out with just t-shirts. Let's call it Sconny, and we'll just do it. And he was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And so we sat down. We got back that night. We sat down and we went on our laptop, his laptop, and we were just typing a bunch of stuff in. You know, we were just putting together logos and whatnot too. And then the momentum and the traction for him, the other person involved, I could tell he wasn't that interested. It was just kind of like a spur of the moment kind of thing. He lost interest in it, and I still had a lot of interest in it. There are other people in that car, and other people in that car that heard it. They were like, "Oh, that's awesome!" And I approached them like, "Hey, you want to make a little buck here?" And so they're like, "What?" And you know, I told them Sconny, and they're like, "Okay, yeah." Yeah, no hesitation either. That was the best part. They've been awesome to just believe in me. That was the coolest part for me, was just how they believed in me. They knew I probably could fail, but they knew that I'd work hard to the point of where if I did fail, it was because it was an absolutely terrible idea that no one liked, and it just wasn't going to work out. In sports, if you work hard enough at the gym, if you lift weights, if you shoot hoops enough, if you play tennis, hit the balls hard enough or whatever. I don't know. I didn't play tennis. I don't know if you guys can tell based off that. But if you work hard enough at something, you know, it's bound to work out at least a little bit.
How about how you actually make the product? Do you do a lot of...
So what I did was, for the t-shirts, I went to Joann Fabric Store out by Applebee's in the mall. And I bought just flannel. So I got red flannel, I got yellow flannel, and then what was the other one? Oh, it was like a white, it's like, there's different like stripes in it. There's like it's multicolored, but it's mostly white flannel. And what I did was I brought it to Ellie Phillips Career Development Center, and I was like, hey, can you guys cut this out by hand in the shape of Wisconsin and then just sew it on the front of a t-shirt? And they're like, yes, we could do that. And I had so I wanted to do 2-layered. So I did a bottom layer and a top layer. So the bottom layer was always going to be a colored felt, and then the top layer was always going to be white, and then you sew on top. And then for these, what I did is you can just order these. It's called Twill. It's already pre-cut and whatnot. You just have to sew it on. So I ordered it online, and then I had people sew it on. It's awesome how we met, actually. I thought that was really cool.
It's randomly at a
There you
coffee
go.
shop.
Destiny.
We were at a coffee shop, and what ended up happening is they were going around interviewing people, and I was just sitting there doing homework. I had an interview at Volume 1 in like a couple hours, I think. So I was just stopped by at the Lismore to do some homework quickly before that, and just walk on over to Volume 1. And these three approached me, and they came up to me, and they were like, hey, is it cool if we ask you a couple questions? I'm like, oh, absolutely, man. Oh, yeah, for sure. And so you guys kept going. I think I got the first question right. I can't remember what it was, but I guess I got it.
It was a donut trivia fact. He also, I'm pretty sure, did you say you like apple fritters?
I did not.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he said they are a donut, but the truth has come out that he hates apple fritters just like everybody else in this world.
Except for Amy Bauer. Amy Bauer likes apple fritters.
I've never had one.
What?
Have you had like a smushed up apple before that's like rotting?
Have you ever had apple pie?
Yeah, I've had
So
apple
they
pie.
take like those apples,
Throw
and
it in the
cut them
garbage.
tiny, and they roll it in sugary, cinnamony dough goodness and bake it.
Oh.
Yeah. See?
Anytime you say I'm gonna roll it in sugar and bake it, I think you can like I took this camera lens and I rolled it in sugar and baked
Doesn't make me wanna eat
I'd
it.
eat that camera lens.
I wouldn't.
What's the best financial advice at this age that you would give somebody?
The best financial advice that I could give someone is plan for the future. And plan for the future. Pretty simple, basic, Are you guys gonna use this and make like a TikTok out of it?
Yeah.
We'll use this. We put all full episodes on YouTube.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So you should go there and check out our
Yeah.
latest episodes and tell your friends. Ethan, thanks for joining us.
Hey,
Good
thank
luck.
you guys. I
Wait.
appreciate it.
Wait.
God.
We didn't do the most important part of the whole episode. And that was to ask him
Here we go.
what donut represents this episode.
The half-eaten one on the table that I didn't finish. That's the donut.
He's got the glaze. What is it?
It's like the glazed.
Yeah, just
I
a
don't know.
glazed, good old glazed donut.
I didn't want to eat in the middle of this too.
So, but the reason that ties in is perfect because as an entrepreneur, as a startup business, you never get time to finish one thing before you're like, oh no, I got to go do something else.
gotta go do
I
this,
got a
this,
fire to put
this.
out over here. Yes, that's perfect.
He started eating that donut, and then we're like, all right, we got to start talking.
He's like, oh,
Cooper,
Steve.
if somebody likes this episode or Money Donuts in general, what should they do?
They should subscribe to us on their favorite podcasting platform and leave us a really nice review.
Reviews
because
help.
I like to read them.
It makes her feel good. And if you make fun of her on social media, it will destroy her life. So don't do that.
Make sure you leave nice comments too.
Yeah.